Welcome to Business Buying for Financial Independence. I'm Tim Delaney, and I help young professionals buy small businesses so they can escape the 9-to-5 and take control of their time, income, and future. If that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. So in May of 2013, I closed on the purchase of a small wine and liquor store outside of Buffalo, New York. That store was to become my job for the next few years, which I knew going into it. I was not somebody looking to buy a business that I didn't have to do anything in, like some people do, which is completely fine. That's a great way to build wealth if you already have a lot of capital and or you have a job that you don't want to leave right away. You can find businesses to buy that will run without you on a day-to-day basis. But when I bought the store, I intended to be the manager. I intended to get a salary for being a manager and also to make a profit on the store. That first year, which was kind of just a little bit over a half of a year, my annualized salary would have been roughly $50,000. So more than I even put into the store. On top of that, I was generating some cash flow and generating profit on paper. That was pretty good for the first year in business, and that's what you get when you buy an existing business, is there should be cash flow even after the debt service, after paying down the loans. I had a bank loan and a seller loan, and I was still able to generate some profit on paper and pay myself a reasonable salary for managing a store. The following year, my first full year in business, I was able to increase my salary quite a bit, and together with the cash flow from the business on paper, I was making over six figures already. Now, I keep using that term on paper because that cash wasn't necessarily coming into my pocket every month or into my household to use for whatever we wanted. I was intentionally trying to build the business. That was my goal from day one, and that's what I recommend if you listen to me before. If you're going to buy a business, you should have a plan to grow it. That is what you want to do right from the start, and especially in those early days. So that money was not necessarily just going to me to blow on vacations and toys and other luxury items. It was getting reinvested into the business, buying more inventory, paying for a new point of sales system, getting a website up and running, buying Facebook ads, SEO ads, all in the name of growing the business. I wanted to try to build the business as much as I could because I knew eventually I didn't want to run it day to day anymore. And in order to do that, it would need to make enough money to hire the right staff and still generate a profit for me. So I spent those early years really focused on reinvesting in the business, not sucking the cash out to use on whatever I wanted. And that's an important thing to remember. When you buy that business, or even if you start your own business, you don't necessarily in the early days want to be taking out too much money. You want to be playing the long game and reinvesting that capital to build the business up. So this continued for a few years. You know, a lot of people want overnight success. And I'll admit, prior to ending up buying the wine and liquor store, I had spent a few years trying to think of and start and find like the best, fastest, high growth way to make a lot of money really fast. In reality, those types of ventures don't exist. Even something like Facebook or Google, like what most people don't see behind the scenes is it took them years of a lot of hard work before they became quote unquote overnight successes. The part of building anything that nobody sees, they just see the end result. Those first few years, I kind of just continued in the liquor store, taking the cash, putting it back in, buying more inventory, upgrading my website to an e-commerce website. I launched a mobile app trying to do different things to attract more customers and keep more customers and build loyalty. I started a loyalty program. I invested in gift cards. Just buying those little plastic gift cards is quite an investment for a small business. That's why, if you're ever in a really small business and they don't have those plastic gift cards that we're all accustomed to now from all of their stores, it's probably because that investment is quite substantial and they're hesitant to make it. That's where my money went. It didn't go to me and to buying stuff for myself or to funding luxury vacations and luxury cars in those early days. It was all being reinvested in the business for growth's sake. And then at some point in those first few years, at the recommendation of a business group that I had joined, I opened up a business line of credit, even though I had no use for it and I didn't ever intend to use it. The advice is it's the best time to ask a bank for a loan or for credit, for lines of credit, is when you don't need it. They are more than willing to give businesses access to money when the business doesn't need it. When the business needs it, the bank gets a little hesitant. That's when their red flags go up and they wonder whether or not they're going to get paid back. So it's always best to open up those lines of credit, especially. So you're not using the money, you're not paying anything, there's no interest fees. Some banks might charge an application fee, but a lot don't, because they want you to have access to it so that you'll hopefully use it, so that then you'll pay them interest. Yeah, yes, I already had a relationship with the bank because I had gotten the loan from them originally to purchase the business, but adding this line of credit helped strengthen my relationship with them. And it turned out, within a year of getting that line of credit, I had an opportunity to buy inventory for pennies on the dollar from another store that had gone out of business. Having access to that line of credit gave me the ability to make an offer and be confident in that offer, and that's ultimately what got me that inventory. So then I was able to make a very high margin move, selling that inventory that I had bought for pennies on the dollar for sometimes regular prices, but even blew a lot out at closeout prices. Our customers were happy. We made more money, all because I had opened this line of credit. And so now the bank saw me using that line of credit, paying some interest to them. They're happy because now I'm an even better customer for them because I'm paying them more interest. That's what it takes to develop that relationship with the bank. And again, I'm taking all of this profit and reinvesting it into the business. I had enough to live off of. We were making sure that we live within our means so that we could continue to reinvest in the business. Throughout all this time, my plaza that was owned by a gentleman named John, who had built most of the plaza himself in the 70s. He was a real estate agent. He had an office in the plaza. I handed him a check every month for rent in person. Most of the time, occasionally I'd drop it in his mailbox, but most of the time I was handing it to him in person. Many of the times that I would hand him a check, I would also ask him if he had any interest in selling the plaza, or when he was going to retire. He was in his 80s at that point. I didn't necessarily know how I was going to buy the plaza, but I just kept asking him because I was interested. I was interested in real estate. I wanted to make sure from my business standpoint that my place of business was secure. I was always looming over the back of my head. What if he sells to somebody and that person doesn't want a liquor store in the plaza? Or what if he sells to somebody and they double my rent or triple my rent overnight? What am I going to do? The store's been there for 50 years, the same spot. Everybody in the community knows exactly where it is. Sometimes moving a business like that can be devastating. That wine store that I mentioned that went out of business, they had been doing amazing where they were. They moved across the street, not even a mile down the street, and they went out of business within a couple of years because of that relocation. So I was always asking John if and when he was ready to sell. His answer was always the same: I will never sell. I will die with the plaza because I don't want to pay capital gains. He built it in the 70s, so his depreciated basis for the plaza was zero. Whatever he sold it for, he was going to have to pay full capital gains on, which is something he didn't want to do. So this went on for a few years. Eventually, one day, I handed him the check and said, "Aren't you sick of this place yet, John? Aren't you ready to sell?" And he said, to my surprise, "Yep, I'm ready to sell." Turns out he had talked to an accountant. He had figured out that the way that he could defer and or avoid some of the capital gains was by seller financing the plaza, by holding the note himself. So he wasn't getting all of the money up front. See, when you have capital gains, you only have to pay the capital gains on the portion of the cash you get for that year. So he is the one that proposed a certain percentage down, and then he would hold the note for the rest. Actually, I think it was 10% down right off the bat. He wanted a 6% interest on that 90% note that he was going to hold. His price was $1 million even. And so psychologically, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to negotiate with him on that price point. Trying to knock the price down by a couple tens of thousands of dollars wouldn't give him that psychological satisfaction of saying that he sold it for $1 million. So instead, I negotiated on the interest rate. So there's price and there's terms. The seller can't have both. So we got the interest rate down to a point that I could afford it. And now I just needed to come up with that 10%, $100,000. Now remember, I was earning a lot of cash from the liquor store over these years. However, it was all getting reinvested in the liquor store. So I wasn't sitting on piles of cash at that point. However, I had the confidence that I could be generating enough cash from the liquor store if I needed to by slowing down my reinvestment in the store and building up more inventory. So I just needed to find a way to get that $100,000. So I approached some people in my network. I found somebody else that was willing to lend me that additional $100,000. So I was able to pay that to John. He didn't really care where it was coming from. I knew from the cash flow analysis from the plaza that I would be able to cover both of the loans every month and have a little bit extra for reserves for the plaza that could build up over time so that I could take on capital projects and improve the overall plaza. What I didn't plan for was within the first year, I had to replace a 10,000 square foot flat roof. And this is where owning the initial business really came into play. Because I was 100% leverage on the plaza at that point, I wasn't going to be able to get a line of credit or a loan from anybody else to do that roof. That kind of really needed to be done. It wasn't that bad during inspections when I bought the plaza, and I could have repaired it over time, but it still would have been tens of thousands of dollars in those first couple years to just do repairs, that it made much more sense to try to fully replace it if I could. I was getting quotes anywhere from $85,000 up to $120,000 to redo this roof. Having the existing business cash flowing well, having the relationship with the bank of paying down the initial loan, which wasn't completely paid off yet, having the line of credit come in and out a couple times, them seeing that activity, them seeing that I was responsible with the liquor store. The bank was willing to give me a loan for the liquor store for a 5-year, $100,000 loan to do capital improvements. So I was able to redo the roof on the plaza because of the loan to the liquor store, which had I not had access to, had I not had that cash flowing business that was able to pay down that loan separately without a problem, at that point, I might have ended up losing the plaza because I wouldn't have been able to afford that loan to do the roof. So the liquor store didn't necessarily buy me the plaza, but it gave me the confidence and it gave me that backup cash flow to take on a project where I was 100% levered on purchasing a new asset. Over time, I've been able to pay down some of those loans. I've now refinanced and taken out the seller note. John unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, so his heirs were able to inherit the rest of that note at a stepped up basis, so they don't pay any capital gains on what was left of the note. So it worked for them, worked for me. In the meantime, I've been boosting the plaza. I've done some of those capital projects besides the roofs and beautification projects, increased some of the rents to help cover the ever increasing costs of insurance and taxes and general maintenance, so that I've been able to increase the value of it and make it a nicer looking place for everybody that is in the plaza to do business. This is why I say that one business can change your life. It's not always necessarily that just that one business is going to be your only thing for the rest of your life. It's that one business can unlock a lot of other potential, from the connections that it made me to buy my next deal, to the financing ability that it gave me to be able to cover an expense when it came up, to even building that relationship with the seller so that he felt confident. He had seen me paying rent every month. He knew that he was going to get his seller finance check every month because I was a trustworthy business person that he had been working with for years. So one business can really change your life. I highly recommend looking into purchasing a cash flowing, profitable business if you're at all interested in entrepreneurship. If that sounds like you, please take a look at our buyer's profile quiz on our website, powerofbiz.com/buyer-profile. I'll have the link in the show notes below so that you can see where you stand on the buyer spectrum, what kind of buyer you are, and what might be holding you back and what might your strengths be. Look forward to hearing from you. please share this with a friend, and I will see you all again soon. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Business Buying for Financial Independence. If you're serious about owning your time and building long-term wealth, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.